Hey guys, I'm so glad you're plugged in today, and I want to turn to Second Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7. And it just says something so strong, so great, so concise. For we walk by faith and not by sight. Say that. We walk by faith and not by sight. Now, I'm grateful to be sighted and to have my five physical senses, sense of smell and taste and so forth. Makes food a whole lot better. Sight helps us with our driving, right? I'm grateful to say that every time I get my eyes examined at an examination at the Department of Motor Vehicles, I pass without having to use glasses. I'm grateful for that at this season of my life. But I'm also grateful that we are invited by the Lord, who gave us those senses, to walk in, can I say it this way, the sixth sense of faith. I'm not trying to be mystical. I'm not talking about psychic stuff, paranormal stuff. I'm talking about supernatural stuff. Faith, the Bible says, is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Or evidence of things hoped for in one way or the other. It says it right here. I'll look it up so I'm accurate in the quote. Faith is the certainty of things hoped for and a proof of things not seen. Well, we don't always have the advantage of sensory reinforcement in our life. But yet, it's so good to know that God is always leading us. He's always guiding us. His word being a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I was watching some YouTube people, and the guy was talking to this other lady about how he's grateful he's sober, but he's really having a battle with a vape. And she said the same thing, only it was cigarettes. She smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. These are both young people. And I know in her case, she's exhibited a surrender to the Lord. She's actually kind of currently a famous public person, and she's just without fear acknowledged that Jesus is Lord in her life. It's really beautiful, and I kind of think God's moving on the guy too. But they were talking about their struggle, and I listened to them, and I in fact prayed for them. You know that my son actually met the man that was interviewing the lady. None of us have met her, but we see her on television and so forth. Her parents were missionaries, and she, like a lot of young people, went astray and got in her own kind of path, but found her way back to the Lord. And it's really beautiful. And I think about this. I think about Moses and his journey. I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at that example of these two trying to overcome, trying to conquer. And in their case, they both talked about how nicotine is such a challenge. She said on this interview that when she would see depictions of people using drugs on films or television, she'd just be repulsed by it. Like she's really gotten victory in those areas. But she said she admitted when she sees people smoking, it's like she still feels the lure to it. So she says she cannot compromise 1 millimeter with it. And she was challenging the guy, and I think a bit, but with hope, not condemning him. But it made me realize, wow, people are out there in the human condition, and they're struggling. We all deal with flesh. We all deal with the voices all around us. We're dealing with the barrage of distraction. But we walk by faith and not by sight. And I was reading about Moses in Hebrews 11. And it says Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents because they saw he was a beautiful child. That doesn't mean he was a Gerber baby with amazing look. It meant they sensed a call on his life. They detected the beautification of God's purposes in his direction. So they protected him because the Pharaoh had given orders to kill off all the Hebrew boys, which is nuts. But they were not afraid of the king's edict. They were brave. Moses had a mom and dad that cared about him and regarded God as faithful. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be called the son of the Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to endure ill treatment with the people of God than to enjoy the temporary or passing pleasures of sin. Isn't that an amazing turning point? The guy had a silver spoon, silver platter, opportunity to inherit the throne and actually, like by adoption, almost have some sort of a high role in Egypt. No, almost. And he refused to be called the son of the Pharaoh's daughter. He said, I adhere to and identify with my Creator. And he turned down the big outward prize for God's purposes. And considering the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasure of Egypt. Now, a guy named Howard Carter found King Tut's tomb. Most of those tombs had been pillaged by looters through the centuries, but somehow this one went undetected. And they even think this was a relatively minor level of wealth, since King Tut was not, as prominent as some of the other pharaohs. But if you Google it and look at King Tut's treasures, they're lavish. It's amazing. I mean, his sarcophagus was gold, with precious stones, and it was just amazing in terms of art and sculpture, beautiful, and in terms of the poundage and weight of gold, it's like a fortune, and it's of course, priceless due to its historical value. But you just then think about Moses with the power, the prominence, the position, the just anything and everything at his fingertips. And he says, I'd rather suffer following God than have all these benefits and be apathetic toward God. So I think about these YouTubers and how, at great expense to their public persona, it's like, I'm following Jesus and I am not ashamed of the gospel. I'm really proud of the young lady that I'm so thankful for the parents' prayers. I grew up in the 70s and there was a band named Alice Cooper, and the lead singer and the songwriter was, he was a preacher's son. And he got all caught up in the Los Angeles snowstorm, which is cocaine. And he was so emaciated, and he's not riding on the top of the wave of popularity in the 70s with his music, his rock band. And I saw a documentary of his mom and his dad fasting and praying for him. And as a pastor and a father, I relate. And I just want to finish by saying, whatever you're facing, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're going through, be like Alice Cooper's mom and dad. Fast and pray. Be like Moses' parents and set that child before the Lord and trust God that he's going to take care of him. Don't be afraid of the king's edict. Don't be afraid of the curses of the world. And you guys that are walking with God, look around you and see it's worth it to serve him. Everything else is secondary. Walking by faith has been and always will be primary, because look what it says here. Considering the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. By faith he left Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he persevered or endured. Why? How? As though seeing him who is unseen. We walk by faith and not by sight. Set your affections on him and press on. God bless you.